So today I'm going to be discussing inflation and the effects of inflation on economics as a whole and on your life. Okay. Um, so inflation is a general progressive increase in price of goods and services in the economy. When the general price level rises, each unit of currency buys fewer goods and services. Consequently, inflation corresponds to a reduction in the purchasing power of money. So that just basically means that whenever inflation occurs, it's basically going to be something that happens whenever the price of a product is higher than it was from the prior year. And they judge that by the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index. Inflation happens for a lot of reasons. It can be a pandemic, it can be um, just no labor. The labor force isn't adequate enough to fulfill the demands that's needed. And it can just be simple as the price was so low on things for a while that it had to increase. And so that can all cause inflation. All right, so this is how it affects you in your home. Inflation affects every facet of your life, even when it comes to groceries. The average unit price for meat, which could group items together like sirloin steak with chicken drumsticks, those are included, was $4.06. That is a 8.6 increase from the same point in 2020. So it was inflated by 8.6%. Inflation on gas. Increases in gasoline that fills our automobiles has not only increased due to inflation, but has also increased due to the pandemic. The world did not respond adequately in this area by not ramping up production in the waning months of the pandemic. Um, Basically, what happened was the major generators of oil and gas, which would be Russia, which is one of them. Um, and they're all involved with OPEC, but the government, the United States government, sent a request to um, ramp up the production of oil. That request was denied. And so during the pandemic, it caused an inflation on oil because the output was not sufficient for the demand. And that happens with pandemics all the time. It just depends on the area that's being affected and what type of pandemic it is. It can all be different, but it all affects every pandemic or every thing that happens within the United States. It affects the corporations. It affects national as well as international affairs. And that is why the inflation on gas has happened. And now we got inflation on the prices of used cars and trucks has increased as well. Production of semiconductors has slowed down to a turtle's pace and affects the production of newer cars. This has increased demand on used cars, which in turn has caused inflation. Now, this is just going to be directly correlated to labor force. So, whenever the labor force started to decline because of the pandemic again, semiconductors, which is an important component to new cars, was slowed down. The production of that product was slowed down to um, for cars that are new. Um, and so, of course, people would turn to used cars. And when that happens, it causes inflation. So yeah, that is going to be causing inflation as well. So my conclusion is I have found that most of the inflation has come from the after effects of the pandemic. Some of the response was slow, not only due to production, but congressional debate as well. And I hope you guys understood my presentation. You have a blessed and beautiful